Every day, realtors show that they're good neighbors by volunteering in their communities, being involved with foundations and charities, and otherwise doing really great things in their community. This week on Talking Real, we bring in special guest Becky Karpe, who was involved with developing the Realtors Are Good Neighbors program, where realtors are logging all of their volunteer hours that they're doing out in the community.
So let's learn about this incredible program and see how you can get pinned.
Welcome back to Talking Real, brought to you by the Oklahoma Association of Realtors. This is episode 149 of Talking Real, back in the studio with your hosts, Jeff and Nabil. Nabil, how's your day?
Great. You thought I was going to go into a story.
I thought we were going to have a story, but no. Nabil's having a great day.
It's a good day. I'm just excited to record this. We're inching closer and closer to 150.
Oh, our next episode will be episode 150, which is kind of crazy because it's like we've almost been doing this for 3 years now, every Tuesday, besides a couple that we took off for holidays. Maybe we'll do that again this year, give ourselves a little bit of a break. We'll see. Maybe not.
We're getting spoiled.
Absolutely. But man, just this week, I feel like we've had some good feedback. I had a legal line question came in, and somebody had commented how they appreciated the podcast. We got some shout outs. People have been sharing their Spotify year in review. Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to everybody that has, noted that they have listened to Talking Real. I had a conversation with one of our listeners who had binged 8 episodes in one day, and he commented how valuable he thought the podcast was. So that just makes us feel like all this time and effort we spend is really worth it. So thank you guys so much for your comments.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely.
It's like the greatest honor. Right?
It is. It is. So we started this thing on a whim here at the association, and we're just glad that we've been able to continue it on, and some people keep listening with us every single week. So this week we want to, in the spirit of the holiday season of giving back and giving thanks and all of the fantastic things that realtors are doing out there, we've brought in a special guest who's been with us before, but now for a totally different reason. We're bringing in Becky Karpe, and she worked on a program with the National Association of Realtors through their Leadership Academy, where her and her group project was to develop this Realtors Are Good Neighbors program, where basically realtors who are giving back in the community, they're volunteering through their association or individually, can go in and log their hours and what they volunteered so that we can use that information to just show how great realtors are, go show people in Congress how great we're doing out in their communities, and just really brag on realtors and all that we do in the communities. And the goal is to get to 5 million hours logged this year. So we're just getting started. We've got till November of next year to get it done.
Hey, that's doable.
Absolutely it is.
That's like 5 hours per realtor.
It's nothing. It's nothing. And there are some people out there that give hundreds and hundreds of hours on their own every year. So we easily pass 5 million. Now we just got to get them logged.
Yep, that's right.
So let's jump in with Becky Karpe to learn a little bit more about the Realtors Are Good Neighbors program and how you can get involved with that. We are back in the Talking Real studio with Talking Real veteran Becky Karpe. This is not her first appearance on the show. And Becky, it's so good to have you back. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks, Jeff. Good to see you and Nabil both.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
It's always a pleasure to see you. You always bring such good energy to the Talking Real studio. So we're excited to have you here. And Becky, I've heard a rumor that you are a good neighbor.
Well, you heard right.
Depends on which neighbor you ask.
So before we get into that, though, for those that maybe aren't familiar with who you are or didn't hear your first episode, just give us a quick little background of who you are, how long you've been in real estate, and what area you're from.
Sure. I'm Becky Karpe. I am an Oklahoma City born and raised native. I have been in Oklahoma City real estate for 18 years. I was licensed in 2002. I've been involved at my association, my local association, which is OKMAR, since probably 2012, and also involved here at OAR and more recently at the National Association as well.
Absolutely. You've been through the NAR's leadership or the State Association's leadership Oklahoma Leadership OAR. I'm like trying to come up with the name here. I'm stumbling all over myself.
I graduated from Oakmar's Leadership Academy in 2014. Yeah. I graduated from OAR's Leadership Academy, LOAR, in 2018. And just at the beginning of last month, I graduated from NAR's Leadership Academy.
There you go.
What's
She's
next?
Been all over the place.
A break?
She's running for president in 2024.
There you go.
Also a former, you just were president of Oakmar, is that right?
Yes, I was. I'm immediate past president.
Okay.
But I think that ends December 31st. I was president of Oakmar in 2019.
She's going into full retirement now.
Yes.
That's not true.
Can I get Medicare?
No. So, Becky, we wanted to bring you in today because we know that you're involved with the Realtors Are Good Neighbors program. You've really, I guess, you've been dedicating a lot of your time as a good neighbor is really what I should say, is that you are dedicated to volunteerism, that you do a lot of work out in the community. But tell us about this NAR's program that Realtors Are Good Neighbors, because we've had people on before that have have won locally and been involved nationally with the Good Neighbor Award program. This is sort of a piece of that. So tell us a little bit about that program.
Sure. Well, you touched on kind of an interesting point here. It's not just me, and it's not just the other people that have been in here, but based on NAR's recent member surveys, 72% of Realtor members volunteer in their community. That's more than twice the average rate of the average citizen.
In any other profession. That's pretty impressive.
It is. It really is. I mean, we talk about realtors giving back in the community and all that, but this, like, that is actual, they've put proof to that
right.
Realtors are, in fact, dedicated to working in their communities.
Well, I think that dedication to community comes from the fact that we work in our community and building our community, bringing people in, bringing businesses in. It's important to us. We are really the boots on the ground at making sure that we have great communities to live in, because we sell those communities. We live here too, and we want them to be as good as possible.
Absolutely. So tell us about this program that NAR is running, the Realtors Are Good Neighbors program. What do you know about that? So
the Realtors Are Good Neighbors program is NAR's recognition and celebration of these good works that our members are doing in their communities. It changed a little bit at the beginning of November with a new tweak to their program. I'm going to go into it. I'm just going to tell you guys what happened.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So
story time.
It is story time. So like I mentioned earlier, I was in the 2020 class for NARLA, which is the National Association's Leadership Academy. At the beginning of the year, we all met in person. This is, of course, before COVID. We met in January in D.C., and they separated our group into smaller groups. And these were our capstone projects, or our capstone groups to develop our capstone project. Our group sat together as the rest of the groups in the room. We came up with our idea, and very quickly in January, my group decided we wanted to come up with some type of a recognition for realtor members that are doing good works in their community. Now, we're all inspired by the Good Neighbor Awards, because that is such a high level of dedication. We've got folks that are building tiny home communities for veterans, and Christy Payne up in Edmond with her Fostering Sweet Dreams. I mean, those are amazing things that those people are doing. It's aspirational, but it's also intimidating, because that is a lot of work. But there's so many of us that are doing good work in our communities at manageable bite-sized bits. One of my capstone team members is the FPC for one of the senators in his home state of Iowa. And she said to him one day that all of your RPAC dollars are great, and we really appreciate them, but what you guys are underutilizing is how much of your efforts in the community you're doing. You guys are doing great things, and that would mean a lot to me and the rest of my fellow lawmakers to know how much activity you guys are doing. That kind of struck a chord with us, and we thought, hey, there's got to be a way that we can make something out of this. So we kind of worked on our capstone project, and we started doing some interviews with NAR staff, and message got through to President Charlie Oppler that there was this group that was working on something that was running really closely with one of his initiatives that he wanted for 2021. And that was our group. So we met with President Oppler, well, he was president-elect at the time, and explained to him our ideas. And he said, this is great. We'd like to work with you more. And so we gave them our ideas, and the amazing staff at NAR tailored it and cultured it and came up with the Realtors Are Good Neighbors program, which is an attempt to quantify the hours of Realtor members' volunteer efforts in their communities between November of 2020 through November of 2021. Charlie's goal is for 5 million hours. I checked the website this morning, and there's well over 12,000 that have already been recorded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I looked at that, and one thing I loved is I went onto they've got a Facebook page set up for it as well, where they're sharing pictures and videos of, they're just giving an opportunity to kind of brag on the people who are out there doing good things. And like you said, the Good Neighbor Award that they do, I mean, these are people who are at that very top level of dedicating, they're creating foundations and doing some of these things that are very inspiring. But for a lot of us, we look at that and say, well, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Maybe I don't have an idea, but maybe they're still out there working with Habitat for Humanity on the weekends, and they're doing all kinds of things. They're volunteering all over the place. And again, we do talk about it. We talk about how much realtors do, but we don't have a list of it. We don't have that. Well, what does that mean? What does that look like? What kind of hours are we putting in? So this is a really cool program.
Interesting that you said, what does that look like? Because one of the big components of our initial plan with our capstone project was the map. And the map that would kind of pinpoint people's hours and their efforts in their community. And we saw this kind of twofold. It was a way that people could enter in their information of what they're doing. We could use that map to show other members, this is what's going on in these areas, and you can really focus in and you can pull up one of those pins and see, oh, well, they're working at the Boys and Girls Club, or this group is doing Habitat for Humanity. And we saw that as an opportunity for idea sharing between organizations that are looking for more ideas and how people can get involved in their community. And then also we could use those to show our important people at the Capitol, look at all the realtor members in this area, in your constituents, and the works that they're doing.
See, I think that's an interesting point of one of my questions was, what are they going to do with this information? I mean, obviously there's a website and some marketing to show it off, but like you mentioned, maybe using it for advocacy purposes as well, which I think is interesting. So are there any other purposes that go into this that you're aware of? I think that was just an interesting component that I would never even thought of.
We've been doing this for so long. And when I say this, I mean realtors in their communities working. And it's time we it's time we really shine on that.
Yeah.
One thing that really stood out is NAR can tell us to the penny how much money we bring in for our PAC, but they couldn't tell you how many hours our members are in the communities doing good works, not just selling homes, not just volunteering at their associations, but really rolling up their sleeves and doing things to improve the communities that they live in and sell.
Yeah, I really like that map that I was just looking at. One, it does exactly what you say. It tells you what is happening in the area across the country. So it's cool if someone's like, hey, I want to get involved. They'll get some ideas out of that. Maybe they can contact the person and say, hey, how do I get involved in your organization? I think that's fantastic. The second one, I know we mentioned the Good Neighbor Award, and that's been a huge thing. It's been there for years where NAR honors good neighbors from across the country for their exceptional volunteerism. Is this program somehow connected to that, or is it just we're continuing the Good Neighbor name to kind of have that continuity, but that award is a whole separate thing by itself?
We'd like to think that this program, the way it was explained to me, is that this program falls underneath the umbrella of the Good Neighbor Award. That's the pinnacle. That's the top. And this program falls in that same program.
Okay.
So it's kind of an extension.
Nice.
They are definitely opening up and expanding their good works, good community service recognition.
Excellent. Yeah, because that Good Neighbor pinnacle, when people get recognized, that's a huge deal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's That's fantastic.
Our original capstone plan that we presented, or we began to present, but then when it got, for lack of a better term, picked up and utilized, it was real simple: a map, an app, and a pen. And it was an interactive map, a pen for recognition, and an app to upload your, to create a member profile, and then you could upload your hours. It turned into no pen, a map, and a website. So we're super happy about that.
Yeah.
So tell people across this great state of Oklahoma, or realtors that are doing great work. Where do they go? How do they log their hours? How do they kind of show off what they're doing and have other people get involved?
Sure. It's really easy. You go to you just Google the website. It's Realtors Are Good Neighbors, and it'll come right up. You can see the map. You can click on a link to create your own profile and add your hours and where you volunteered. You can upload photos that they can use in marketing purposes. And it's just continuing to grow. We really hope it snowballs.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing there, is that we got to get the word out to get people to do it. Because again, we know 70+% of our realtors are out there volunteering, doing things out in the community. But we got to get them in there to log it. And we actually probably have a lot of associations that are doing programs as an association. So this is not just somebody out there on their own, but also if you're doing something as an association, well, you've got 10 people that just did a project for 5 hours. You just got a bunch of hours if we can get everybody in there and log those kinds of things.
Exactly.
And I guess, how do you see that this translates to because realtors, they are out there selling real estate, right? And so we do want to make sure that the things that we're doing, this does matter for people in their business and all that. I mean, do you see a tangible benefit for people in their business to be out there doing this kind of work? As opposed to just, obviously, we want to do good things out in the community, but how does this help realtors be better realtors? How does this help build the name of realtors? What do you see in that line?
Well, anytime that you have a group of professionals doing things to improve their community, it's going to make that whole profession shine. There is the benefit of personally, when you're involved in organizations, you meet people, and you never know when those people might come to you later when they have real estate questions. And sometimes those relationships that you make with people, maybe when you're working next to them in a food bank or something, later can turn into business. But honestly, I don't think that most realtors do it for that. Most of them do it because it makes them feel good. Yeah.
I do think it helps to, remind that realtors are people, and, that connection, right? It's about the individual, the people. People come to work with realtors because they're people, and they see the value of what they're doing, and just, building up your communities. So it's a great place to live. It's just so good for what we do. When I talk about protecting property rights and all these other things that we do, this all fits within that whole confines of everything that a realtor does to make just that name mean something, And I think that that's a really cool thing that they're doing, to be able to kind of boost up that recognition of people out there doing things.
And the nature of what we do is flexible. It's flexible until it's not.
It's not. And then it's 24/7.
Exactly. But we do have the ability to go and volunteer at our kids' schools, or work at the food bank, or volunteer at the Jesus House. We've got some more flexibility with our time because we don't work standard 9 to 5s.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to give back more, where to start, and then what they need to be doing in terms of making sure this does get reported?
Lots of our realtor members are already volunteering, and that's great. But a lot of people don't know where to start. And I think the best thing to do is find something that touches your heart. Find something that you're passionate about or that you have a personal connection with. I have a friend who has a daughter that was born with Down syndrome, and she's gotten very involved in the Down Syndrome Association, and that's fantastic. So if you can find something that speaks to you, either personally or just something that interests you and you'd like to learn more about, that's a good place to start. Most organizations will not turn away volunteers. They need the help. And it's a great opportunity to learn more about something either that you're interested about or you don't know very much about, and to give back part of yourself.
Yeah. I think that is fantastic advice. Do get involved with something that you're passionate about. Right. I think because that one, that keeps you motivated because you have a passion for it and you get to learn about it, and you feel like you're making a difference in the project or the thing that you desire to.
Definitely. I'm a reader. I love books. I'm a book collector. And for years, I've volunteered at the Friends of the Metropolitan Library's annual book sale. It's a huge fundraiser that they do that funds the programs that the Metropolitan Library puts out to card-carrying library members. I've loved helping at that book sale, and I love watching how much money they raise every year. And just recently, I was asked to join their board of directors, which was I felt like the next step of volunteerism with that. But reading, literacy, those are things that are really important to me, and that's how I got started volunteering with that group. So when you find something that you like, there's room. There's room to help.
That's a awesome fundraiser, and it's fun to go to that one. It's amazing.
Turn the mic off. But no sale next year.
Oh, seriously? Yeah. I was worried about that.
That's okay. They can pick back up when it's safe, when it's ready to do it again.
There'll be twice as many books ready to go the next year.
We hope. We hope so.
Well, on top of that, like you mentioned, we've got a couple of people who have been recognized through the Good Neighbor Award program that are involved with some of their own foundations. That's another place to start, that you've got realtors out there who have these organizations that you can help with. Get with your local association too, because we've had some local associations that have gone to NAR and gotten placemaking grants, for example, where they've gotten some money from NAR and they've been able to build a project, that kind of thing, in their community. And that's another way, is to really just be the one who goes and says, hey, how do we do this? Let's get a committee together and let's do a project as an association, and really get that out there to show that realtors are out here doing good things.
Realtors Are Good Neighbors also has a social media page that you can upload pictures, send in quick stories about those efforts that associations are doing. They love those stories, and they're really asking for us to submit as many of those as we can. So I hope that all the associations around the state, when they do those volunteer efforts, I want to make sure that they're remembering to take good pictures and upload them to that website, because we want to share all these works. We want people to know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's go on there and check it out now. I mean, it'll definitely give you some inspiration to say, okay, what can I be doing? Especially now. This is a great season. We just had, last week after you get through Thanksgiving, and we hit Tuesday. It's supposed to be Giving Tuesday is what they call it. But, it should be more than one day, and just, figure out what's going to inspire you now. But go see what other people are doing. See some of those videos. It's pretty neat to see what people are out there doing, and really appreciate that NAR is putting that as an important component of what it is that we do.
I was fortunate to have a really close conversation with President Charlie Oppler, and he explained to us where his passion for community service came from and why this initiative was important to him. And I don't think he's alone. There's so many realtors across the country that are passionate about what they do when they're not doing real estate. And that needs to be celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, our CEO, she was actually, Jessica Hickok, she was the chair of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation gala that they had this year, which they did in kind of a hybrid format, and OAR sponsored that. And I think, like you said, you've spent years volunteering with the Friends of the Metropolitan Library System. And I've done a lot of volunteering with the Heartland Weimaraner Rescue Group. So we're dog people in our house, and so we like to do some dog-oriented volunteering. So there's so many different things out there that people can do, and that makes me think now I got to go log
You have
all
to
those
go
hours.
log your hours.
Log those hours.
Pictures with the puppies and log those hours.
Yeah.
I know. So, so think about what's going on out there. How are you engaged, and how can you get engaged? I think that's great.
That's right.
So, this is cool. So this was kind of you and your group's brainchild. So you got to be pretty proud to see where that's leading, and to start to see those numbers go up and up.
Incredibly proud. All of us, the four of us, we talk very regularly, almost daily still. And it's really exciting to see this getting momentum. And it was thrilling for us when Charlie mentioned it during his inaugural speech. It was just, this is really exciting.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we're glad to hear that we've got somebody here in Oklahoma that's out there doing such a cool thing, which is why we love to see our members here in Oklahoma out doing big things like being a part of the Leadership Academy and all the volunteerism that goes on and everything else. So Becky, we appreciate everything that you've done. We look forward to help promoting this program. We look forward to logging our hours and seeing how we can participate. And so, we just hope to see this grow. And you said we're particularly doing this for a year right now, right?
Yes. This is an initiative from November of 2020 through November of 2021. And the goal is 5 million hours. Okay. But I think we might be able to bust through that.
I think that we could. Could. So we're going to help get the word out, and maybe we'll have to revisit this here in about a year and see where we ended up.
Great.
And see what's in store after that. So,
a little recap episode.
Absolutely.
We've got so many Oklahoma realtors who do such great things in their community. I mean, just Oklahoma realtors alone, we could have so many hours racked up.
Absolutely. We will, and I look forward to getting everybody in there logged in and getting their hours logged.
Let's do
see
it.
how that grows.
Yes.
Becky, thanks again for dedicating your time to all realtor things, being somebody who goes out and advances your leadership abilities through these programs, that creating new programs for us, and also even just coming here on Talking Real to share your time with us. So thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thanks for having me. I love this podcast.
Thank you.
Becky. So this just reiterates what we always know to be true, is that realtors are good neighbors. They're not just out there selling real estate, but they are growing and enhancing their communities and showing that people in this industry really, really care about their communities.
Right.
And not just selling their communities, but also living in them,
right,
and making them as good as they possibly can be.
Yeah. So I know you listening out there have volunteered your time in somewhere, some form. So go to the website, log in your hours, and quantify that realtors are good neighbors.
Right.
Because everyone knows they are, but let's prove it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just think this is a great thing that we can do. Again, just to show how great it is for realtors. I mean, again, this is important for the industry to show that we do care about not just, making a commission, but also making sure that people respect the industry for what it is and the people that they give back. So Go check it out. Realtors Are Good Neighbors program. You can get there. You can go to nar.realtor and put in the search box there, Realtors Are Good Neighbors, and it'll take you right there to it. And you can see this cool project that Becky was involved with making.
Yep. Make sure your pin is on the map.
Absolutely. Get pinned.
Get pinned. That's the tagline. There you go.
And tell all your friends about it. Maybe organize a little project with your office or your local association and get out there and let's keep doing some awesome things in our community.
Yes. And if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button so you know when the next episode is out. And share this podcast with a fellow realtor and spread the word of Talking Real.
Absolutely. We appreciate every time you do.
That's right. And hit the 5 stars and write us a review. We love hearing from you, the listener.
Absolutely. Or even, go out and share your Spotify year in review where it shows off that you're listening to Talking Real or whatever it is. Share that on social media and just go and tag us at OKRealtors. And we appreciate everything that you guys do to keep us moving forward every Tuesday here on Talking Real. So until next time, we'll see you next Tuesday on Talking Real.